Reich, he's got a type, right, guys? He's been known to work with quarterbacks who are all 6'3" and taller. The Panthers have the first overall pick in the upcoming draft, but Reich told reporters, quote, "Don't read anything into the fact I had a grade on Russell Wilson, too." Mel Kiper's latest mock draft has Carolina taking 6'3" CJ Stroud with that top pick. Shannon, if so, would this be the right move for the Panthers?
Skip, I like CJ Stroud. I think he's had a phenomenal career, but I think everybody got enamored by what he did against University of Georgia in that semifinal playoff game. But if you go back and look at that semifinal playoff game, can you honestly say he outplayed Bryce Young, what Bryce Young did to Alabama in the SEC championship game?
Georgia.
To Georgia.
Yeah.
I don't think you can, Skip.
No.
When he had all of his weapons, when he had Mechie, and he had Jameson Williams, and he had all of those guys in the SEC championship game on a neutral field, and they were 6-point dogs, he threw for 421 and 3 touchdowns. C.J. Stroud threw for 348, 4 touchdowns. He was they lost 34-23. I just think the tape on Young and his body of work is more impressive to me than C.J. Stroud. And I'm not saying C.J. Stroud is a slouch because he's no slouch. But I just think the tape on Bryce Young is better. But it's funny how they look at it now, Skip. Now, all of a sudden, they put this on Frank Reich. Well, Frank Reich, what about the general manager? Because normally it's the general manager that's selecting the quarterback. Now we're going to make, so who's the general manager in Carolina? So he ain't got no say? It was always, Skip, it's never been the coach that selected the quarterback unless he's been the general manager. And very few hold that title. Now, we know Andy Reid got a lot of pull. We know Coach Belichick runs everything. Kyle Shanahan runs everything.
I agree.
There are only a handful of those coaches, Skip, that have that kind of cachet that says, no, I don't want him, I want that one. But now we're going to put that on Frank Reich. Okay, if he likes C.J. Stroud and that's who you have the best grade on, by all means take him. But I like Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young is better than C.J. Stroud.
Agreed. If Mel Kiper is right about this, if they are leaning CJ, I say congratulations to the Houston Texans because you just got your future. It fell right into your lap.
And you didn't have to trade anything.
You didn't have to trade anything. I love Bryce Young. I've told you from the start, I don't care how tall or not tall he is. I don't care how much he weighs or doesn't weigh. He can just flat play the position of quarterback. He is in command of that position. He can create throwing lanes the way Russell Wilson did early in his career at a reduced height. He's got a whip of an arm. He is deadly accurate. And what I love the most about Bryce Young, the bigger the game, the more clutch he gets. You want to talk about clutch throws? He would take my breath away with throws he would pull off. Just not that easy to play that position at the highest rate and the highest level of performance that I've seen this side of Joe Burrow in college football. Okay, so it's just about the height. And Frank Reich said, I was all in on Russell Wilson ahead of that draft. Well, he wasn't running the draft. And I don't know the politics here. I don't understand exactly.
And it's hard for me to believe that he's running this draft.
Okay. If it's a split decision, will the owner, who seems to be pretty much
hands-on?
Yeah, he's pretty hands-on. He's involved. Will Mr. Tepper then break the tie if one's leaning one way, one the other way? Would he break the tie in favor of the taller quarter? Would it just come down to 6'3" versus what's Bryce, 5'10" and an eighth or whatever they said he was? Okay. If so, you're going to make the wrong call. I'm not sure I trust this brain trust to make the right call. And I've told you from the start, it wouldn't shock me if they talked themselves into Will Levis just because Will Levis because he's just
they
prototype.
might go Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, or Anthony Richardson is 6'4", 244. Okay.
And they might see the reincarnation, because he called himself, Cam Jackson or whatever, so they might see a reincarnation of Cam Newton.
They might see a reincarnation. I don't know. Nothing would shock me at the top. But I like Houston's spot here because I like what they could become if Bryce falls into their lap. He is a natural-born leader. I just like he just oozes supreme confidence and command of the position. And I like what I've seen. You never know how it's going to translate when you become a head coach, but DeMeco Ryans is a bright, young, new head coach. And I like what electricity he might bring to the defensive side because they weren't very good last year. They ranked 27th in points allowed.
Alabama grad.
There you go.
Have some first-hand knowledge.
Okay.
Coach Saban, what you think about this kid, Coach? How good is he?
Yeah.
Does he have what it takes?
All right.
Is he going to be? Is the moment going to be too big? How does he handle pressure? How does he handle the teammate? What's he like?
Okay. Yep. There we go. And they re-signed Tunsil. They gave him a bunch of money.
Tunsil, yeah.
So at least you got your blind side.
Dalton Schultz, your guy from the Cowboys, went there. Singletary, running back. They got Pierce, who was playing unbelievable before he hurt his ankle, Skip.
Was he playing unbelievable? he was just slamming it through the middle. Against Dallas, they couldn't stop him.
Yeah, exactly. I'm about to say that.
And they also picked up my guy, Noah Brown. Okay. Well, there you go. Yeah. And by the way, Dalton Schultz, I feel for this kid because he's still a kid to me, but he just completely swung and missed.
Yeah, overestimated. I don't know if that was his agent. I don't know if that was him, Skip, because the Cowboys reportedly had a 3-year, $36 million deal on the table.
It's 12 a year.
Right.
12 million a year. It's done. It's done. And he played under the tag last year.
Right.
Okay. Well, you had it. You could be America's team's tight end going forward in high-flying offense with a chance to win. And now, I'm not saying this isn't a good place to be, but you took up to $9 million for 1 year, so it's incentive laden to go to $9 million. You're kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's hard for me to believe the contract that he got, Skip. If you got $36 million, he's probably going to get somewhere between 20 and 24 guaranteed in the first 2 years, which would have been averaged out to about $12 million a year.
Okay. So I rank these quarterbacks: Bryce Young, then C.J. Stroud, then I'll go Anthony Richardson on down. Ahead of Levis, who I told you I'm out. I just don't like the feel that he displayed playing the position of quarterback.
Going to be an interesting draft, my friends, coming up fast. And also, I think the Texans have made a lot of interesting offseason moves. That's for sure. They have definitely improved. All right, Team USA. Will they repeat tonight as the World Baseball Classic champions?
Here we go.
Let's break it down when we come back here on Undisputed.